Hello and welcome. My name is Marsh. I've been dedicated to learning, teaching, and performing on sitar for 14 years, and in this video I'm sharing with you 4 key tips to help maximize your practice and get you more comfortable on this amazing instrument, the sitar. I'm tuned to the key of C sharp today. And the first place I'm going to start is sitting comfortably with the sitar. The sitar has a unique way that we sit traditionally, and for many of us it can be uncomfortable to sit for long periods of time or even at all in this position. So the standard traditional position is to have the sitar resting on the right foot, on the ball of the foot, and then the right hand kind of holds it in place. And for me, my knee can help support the sitar at the bridge, at this area here. And for some people that knee can be down like this. So this is the standard traditional position. So we're going to go over a couple other ways to sit with the sitar to give you some options. And in order to do this, I'm going to use a prop to help me. And what I have is a yoga block here. And this is a little smaller than the regular size block. This one is 3 inches tall, and the regular ones are usually 3.75. So I found this to be a really good size. And so the first position we'll go to is, we'll call it variation 1. And I'm going to take my block, and it's very helpful to have some of this grip pad, and this is just a basic material that you would line cabinets with. It's easy to find at stores, so cut yourself a piece of this. It's going to give the sitar a really nice stability. And I'm going to put this on my yoga block here. This is my 3-inch high yoga block. And now I'm able to sit in a standard cross-legged position. And what we have is the height of the sitar is still in proper alignment. I don't want the sitar to be up here, and I don't want it to be too low. This wouldn't be a good position for me. So this block really allows you to get the right height of the sitar and sit in a comfortable, basic cross-legged position. So I know for me, if I've been sitting in the traditional position for an hour, this is just a great way to give my legs a break. And you can see it's very comfortable, and that grip pad allows the sitar to stay steady. So we'll call this variation 1. Now I'm going to variation number 2, and this one allows us to sit on our knees. For some people, this is a more comfortable way to sit, sitting on the knees like this. And again, in this position, we're able to sit. And so for this position on the knees, I'm tempted to try the regular yoga block that's a little higher, 3.75 inches. So yeah, this higher block supports me better in the position on my knees. You can see the sitar is at the right height here. So we'll call this variation number 2. And now we'll go to our last one. And what I like to call the last one is reverse traditional. And this can be very helpful when you're trying to balance out the body from being in one position so long. For this position, we're going to sit in the opposite of the traditional, which means that my right foot is going underneath and my left foot is going over. So it's literally the opposite. If you were a left-handed sitar player, your foot would be on here. And so I use my block, my smaller block, and this allows my body to kind of rebalance if you've been sitting in the regular traditional position for a long time. So having these options, I really hope, will help you just sit more with your instrument, find more comfort, and I just think it's very helpful for an instrument that is challenging to sit comfortably with. Alright, so now I'm moving on to tip number 2. Tip number 2 is all about the right hand, which is such an important foundation of sitar playing. We call the right hand the bowls, B-O-L. It's playing all the rhythmic patterns are coming from here. And it's so important in the beginning to develop the proper technique for the right hand, because if you don't do that, it becomes really hard to change later on. So this is just a little tip that I'm sharing to help you maintain proper right hand technique. And that tip is to use a small cosmetic mirror, like this one here, to monitor your right hand at all times when you're practicing. If you let yourself get in the habit of your hand spreading apart and getting into things like this, what we want is this compact hand movement. And if you're watching that hand when you're playing scales, it's really going to ensure that you're developing that proper technique, because oftentimes beginners, we start getting into more complex patterns on the left hand, and then the right hand starts to open up and lose that really tight, proper positioning. So just a simple trick of having this little mirror is going to really ensure that you get that right hand technique. Now for tip number 3. Tip number 3 is all about the left hand. And one of the main important things about the sitar and the left hand is that when we're moving about on the neck, the first finger will always remain on the string. It doesn't need to lift up. We don't want to get into this habit of, what we want is, you can see when I'm going up the scale, my first finger is always staying planted on the string. And for me, coming from a background in guitar, I found myself having a tendency to lift that first finger. And the best exercise to ingrain this perfect left hand technique is one that I'll show you right now. And so this exercise, sa sa re sa sa re ga re sa re ga ma ga re sa re ga ma pa ma ga re sa re ga ma pa da pa ma ga re sa re ga ma pa da ni da pa ma ga re sa re ga ma pa da ni sa ni da pa ma ga re sa. My first finger never comes up, and I'm in a major scale today known as the Bilawal scale. And so what you practice is getting this motion with the first finger never picking up. It's huge if you can ingrain this habit early on in your sitar playing. So I'll play through this one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sa sa re sa sa re ga re sa re ga ma ga re sa re ga ma pa ma ga re sa re ga ma pa da pa ma ga re sa re ga ma pa da ni da pa ma ga re sa re ga ma pa da ni sa ni da pa ma ga re sa. Spend some time on this with every practice session and really get into that habit of the first finger planted. And so in the pattern, the second finger is what grabs the highest note. 1 1 1 2 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 2 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 2 1 1 1 1 1. You see the pattern. So this is such an important exercise for the left hand. Now the last thing I'm going to share with you actually doesn't have to do with sitting with the sitar. And this is something that's going to dramatically improve your ability to get into raga music and understand what it's all about. And what I'm sharing with you here is I highly recommend that you spend some time singing. And in Hindustani music, every sitar player and musician you'll find that they're able to sing pretty much everything they play. And they're not doing this because they want to be singers and perform vocally, but they're doing this because the music is so ingrained before it even comes out on the sitar. It's already fully alive in the mind, in the imagination. And raga is such an amazing art form that, you know, the ragas can be expressed on so many instruments, but at the core they come from the voice. And when you sing, you have to fully feel and hear and replicate that note. Whereas an instrument, you know, if you haven't developed your ear, you can be playing out of tune and the instrument's not going to, you know, tell you that. You have to rely on your own ear. So by spending time singing, it's going to improve your sitar playing so much, because you're going to develop a sharper ear. You're going to have a more understanding of what these vocal-like phrases on sitar are trying to do. The sun. All of this is coming from the voice, and essentially, to me, when I play sitar, I'm really singing through the instrument. And an interesting note is the great master Ali Akbar Khan Sahib. He made all of his students take vocal classes, otherwise he wouldn't teach them. And I think I want to place that same emphasis on the importance of singing. So I hope that this video really helps you become more comfortable with sitar, know how to practice, know what to develop in the beginning, and be on the lookout for more tutorial videos. Thanks so much.